This is Education Sector Television International, ESTV. And this morning, we are on to another edition of One Citizen of Greater Values. Today, I have with me online an icon in the education space globally. My guest today is well experienced and well respected in the education sector. Having worked in Africa, Nigeria inclusive, today he's wearing a bigger coat with a bigger responsibility. I am referring to Dr. Nobert Volker, the recently appointed Managing Director of Didacta Association of Education. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
Yes, where are you speaking from? I am in Lagos, Nigeria. Where are you speaking from?
No, not today from Lagos. I'm in Germany, sitting close to Frankfurt.
Okay, you're mostly welcome. Can we set the ball rolling?
Yes.
My very first question. Let's get to know you better. Who is Dr. Nobert Volker?
Yeah. Thank you very much for the question. Who am I? Yeah, I'm a person that always has education in mind. I started myself after coming from school with vocational training with BMW as a panel beater, and after that I started to study being a vocational teacher at the university in Darmstadt, and followed by being a research assistant in terms of education, especially for the engineering study courses. And as such, I was very creative in getting the new skills on the focus that is necessary in the far future. At that time, for sure, for engineers, once they finish their study courses and start to work, and at that time, the study courses have not been in the situation to produce the skills that are necessary. And so we changed a lot in terms of how the delivery of the content and the skill set that is possible for young engineers to receive during their study courses throughout the roughly 10 semesters. I introduced some e-learning aspects in 2000 and 2001, 2. We started with that. At that time, it was not really seen somewhere else. And besides that, lots of further skills besides the technical ones, like project management and team building and things like that. So that our graduates, once they start to work, really support the industry in this big variety of things they need to do. I was responsible for the teaching and learning as well, for let's say courses first semester up to graduation, roughly for about 3,500 students, and after finishing my PhD in engineering education, I left Germany with my whole family, and went to Botswana, where I lived for 2 years, developing a curriculum for heavy plant mechanics. And the same story here is that a lot of practicals were needed, and the collaboration between the industry and the government to deliver the right contents. Yes, and after that, coming back from Botswana and started at the German Engineering Industry Association. And there I consulted universities in terms of teaching and learning, especially as the dropout rate was much too high. And it didn't phase. It was roughly going back to what I've done before, to phase on what kind of engineers do we need afterwards, what kind of skills do they need, and is the teaching and learning at the universities in that level, on that level, to deliver the right things, and by that produce more students, more graduates, with keeping the quality of the people we want to have, but just with more skills. And then I changed within the VDMA. That is the German Engineering Industry Association, to start programs in Nigeria, in Botswana, and in Kenya to set up TVET, to set up courses, especially as the companies, they need skilled people who are able to maintain machines and repair machines, and even operate the machines in the right way, to show and to drive the industry with highly efficient machines. Therefore, we need lots of skills, and we couldn't find those skills in these countries, so that we supported local institutions getting up to that point and produced mechatronics and industry mechanics or maintenance mechanics, and lots of small short courses delivering lots of content. And and also here the same story, thinking of more practicals, how to do that, how to combine the industry needs with the education. That was a very big point in that, and that is what I was doing. I'm traveling now. I'm working for Didacta, as you mentioned. This is the association for the education industry, and that association has lots of members in terms of everything that has to do with education, from furniture for early child education, up to schools, up to e-learning, software developers, technical suppliers, publishers, school bodies, boards and startups, and many more, because education is a big field, and in all those different fields, you need lots of equipment and technology and management and so on. This is what this association is standing for.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nobert. You've actually crossed to my second question, talking about the position of your new organization, the Didacta Association of Education, and also talking about the products and services of Didacta as an education association. So let's go to the third question. As an well-experienced educationist, what are the new ideas that you intend to add to your new office, to your project, to your new organization, to make them, reposition them properly in the education sector and to achieve more?
Yeah, so if we think about what is education for, and that is, I think, the most important question we have to ask ourselves. Is it for people like me, do some further education, getting to another level, and just modernize or adapt to latest technology, to latest status, but also thinking of children, thinking of students going to school. The education is for equipping them for the future. That means we need to give them the possibility to upgrade everything, so that they are able, once they're coming out of that education, they are able to take the right jobs, to invent new things, to get into this, let's say, next level. And if we think about that, then we have to adjust the whole education with the latest thoughts, latest technology, with latest strategies, and coming to let's say current aspects, climate change, democracy, energy, water things. That is something where we need to prepare our kids, all the people going to education, and that means to integrate everything what we know, how education will deliver the right skills, the right skill sets, and up to competent people. That is what is the focus on demand. So that means we really have to see where this leads to and where these people will be in the future, and therefore we have to deliver the right education.
Thank you, Doctor. Can you specify some of this methodology, strategy that you have in place on this new assignment?
Yeah, you see, we have lots of, if you think of artificial intelligence, if you think um, of focusing on different preconditions of people coming into education, and that is what the education in this matter can do to adjust on what is coming in. In the earlier days, we had to really get a good um, a very good view on that, what people bring with to adjust, because at the end, where they go to, that is on a certain level, on a certain quality level. This is where they have to reach, but the way up to that, it might be different. And this is where technology can help. And this is just one of the things. And for sure, if we think about learning environments, we have so much knowledge now. What is necessary to that people can learn, and also here adjust on different people. Some people, they need to walk around when thinking of new things, and some others they sit on at the table and think of and have to write it down. Some people they have to see, listen to music, whatever. Like so, that it's just focusing on a big variety of people to make this education possible.
Thank you, sir. Yes. Do you have the plans of bringing Didacta to Africa, more especially Nigeria, putting into consideration our human capacity development?
Yeah, so for sure, the members of Didacta, as I mentioned, there are companies doing special furniture for education, for schools, for early childhood. There are members that produce everything that supports the right learning environment, with the right software and education technology, so-called edtech. Supported by artificial intelligence. We have technical suppliers as our members and publishers, school boards and stuff. So there's a lot of knowledge in how a good education need to be set up. And that can be a big advantage of collaborating and coming to discuss what those companies can deliver to make the education possible. And especially, you mentioned Nigeria, and lots of African countries have a huge number of young people. For sure, they need to go to school as everywhere in the world, and they need to have good schools, good education. And I think there's a huge investment necessary to make possible that all these young people have good chances. They can support the industry in growing the economy, really to grow, and therefore you need the best people, and therefore you need the best education.
Okay, so in the next few years, we foresee having Didacta in Africa and Nigeria notably.
Yeah, let's see. We have to make good arrangements. Like I mentioned, the projects I was working for in the past with Nigeria, Botswana, and Kenya. It all starts with a very good collaboration, because there are good institutions in all of these countries. There are good people. They know how to do it within the country. And to work together on getting that highest level done. That is what we can do. So everybody is doing his best on that. That means if it comes to this special technologies and the way of getting practical parts into courses, into study courses, into that is where our companies can give a lot of advice. And if it comes to the technology, the learning technology, for sure there is the equipment that can be used for that. And with a good collaboration with the right institutions in Nigeria, for example, I think that a lot of things can be done.
Thank you. Yes, you've worked in the past as an education specialist here in Nigeria, most especially with our youth. Can we share your experience?
Yes, if it's what can I say about your youth? The youth is the same like we have in our country and everywhere in the world. It depends on the right education. And if they go to school and they learn, like I mentioned before, looking into the future, what is where we want to be in the next 5, 10, 20, 50 years. Therefore, the right education need to be done. And we've seen that we educated, for example, generalistic vocational training to receive so-called mechatronics. This is a combination of mechanics and electronics, and for sure now with IT skills, knowing about all this new technologies, and that is something that takes a long time to get these people, because if you're standing, like I mentioned, also the program in Nigeria for heavy plant, those kind of machines, they include hydraulics, they include mechanics, they include high voltage, they include IT and everything. So that means if you only specialize people in these different traits, you need a lot of people to oversee the system. But if you educate for this, and I mentioned mechatronics, this is a 3-year course, but then you have people who understand the whole system. And when it comes to repair and when it comes to maintenance and these kind of things, this is where you need people who have really an overview. And that is something that I was missing a bit, this view of a long-term education. These people are very useful. For sure, you need maybe specialized people in a short run, but in the long run, and if to introduce highly efficient machinery, for example, in production, then you need people who oversee the whole process, and this can be trained with the right training and education.
Very well. If you are to describe Nigerian youths, are they ready to learn?
Are they what? Are they working?
Ready to learn.
Sure, absolutely. No, we trained together with the Dangote Academy in Obajana, 120 industry mechanics or maintenance mechanics. Um, they reached highest level, and you can make a follow up where these people are now and what their skills are. I'm still in contact with lots of them. It's amazing, but I like I said in the beginning, it's just depending on the right education.
Okay, beautiful. Yes, if you are to prioritize Nigerian education, what will you consider first? At least the first three.
For good education.
Yes, to prioritize Nigerian education, what will you consider first? And I'm referring to the first three steps.
Yeah, I would say the first very important step is invest in education. That can only come from the government, and working together with the industry. That is the first, taking over the driver's seat of the education. Don't wait for external aid or something. Like, you really make it possible that young people are, and education is a huge investment in the future, because these young people, they will drive the economy in the future. They will be the ones making producing new industries and so on. That is the first step, taking over the driver's seat in the education. Invest in a very good education. The next thing is working together with industry, government and industry together, because the demand is coming from the industry. They know what exactly they need right now, added with a future view. Where will they be in the next 5, like I said, 5-10 years? And the government needs to support that, and investing in schools and in education to receive these kind of people. And the other thing then for sure is the collaboration of industry and government makes also possible that there is a lot of practical possible, because people who only have seen the university and then want to be an engineer, it might be difficult. So open up, make a good collaboration with the industry so that the companies are open and they let people come in and see how the work will be done in the future, so that they get an overview, and the collaboration between, for example, universities and the industry. This is something when I mentioned in your first question, the new kind of training to receive the right skills for engineers. It came also with very good collaboration and for example, projects together with the industry and the university, because the students could really see what is the need of the industry, where will they go to, and they learned how to present and so on. So that is the third thing, is the more practicals, and that comes with a very, very good collaboration with the industry.
Thank you. Doctor, let me share your experience. As a specialist in German education, what exactly are your areas of focus on German education?
The German education, my focus here is to oversee all the phases of education and put them together in order. That means we start with an early childhood, at the kindergartens. This is not just a place where kids are and just to play around. For sure, they need to play. The education need to be focusing on the age, the right things to learn, even when playing with others. That is one thing which is very important. And then coming to school, and then going to university or making a vocational education, and then we come to further education once people are working and they need to upgrade always their knowledge and their skills. And so that we don't have any gaps in between these different phases of education. That is very important. That means if you hand over kids coming from the kindergartens, there are certain skill sets they need to have before they can go to school. Make sure that this skill set is available for them. They have it. Then they go to school, and then they maybe go to university. What kind of skill sets do they need to be able to sit down and learn on that high level? And also do the practical part. What do they need to have as a skill set with coming from the school, or going to vocational education? What is exactly what they need? And then for sure, once they start to work, they need to have the skill set to understand there's a lifelong learning thing. We need to always upgrade, and it's not just going to a company and then the work there and that's it forever. This is just so that you see this is a whole chain, starting as an early child, going through different phases, and that is what I'm focused at, and what also the association, what Didacta is focusing at.
Yes, thank you, Doctor. Yes, I also want to know, do we look forward to collaborations from you, from Didacta, or any other association in Germany, in Nigeria, looking at our kindergarten classes, our basic schools, our senior secondary schools, and even our tertiary institution? Because I noticed that you've been laying emphasis on vocational education. Do we look forward to a kind of collaboration coming from Didacta, Education of Association of Education, or any other aspect from Germany in a few years into Nigeria?
Yeah, like I mentioned, it all comes with good collaboration between institutions. That means if there's an institution that wants to lift up its education and think about, like I mentioned, the different phases of education on a higher level, maybe from the government side to discuss that. But if we come to the different education institutions like kindergartens, like schools, like universities, like vocational training centers. For sure, there's a possibility for collaboration and an exchange, what is necessary to get to a certain point. So there are many companies who can deliver different technology, different products to make this possible. And there is always a possibility for collaboration.
Sure, and we look forward to that. And lastly, my very last question, so that I can allow you to do the business of the day. What is your advice to Nigerian government on education? At least 5 points.
5 points.
Sure,
Well,
doctor.
maybe the first one I mentioned already is getting into the driver's seat. That means, yes, acknowledge that this is the best investment you can do for the future. That means get to the schools and really invest in that. Get in touch with the high level institutions like Didacta, and to get in contact with companies and institutions who can advise in how to get the best education done. That is first. In get into the driver's seat is one. Invest in education is the second one. Also, set up a very good collaboration between government and industry. That is important for many things. Like I mentioned, practicals without industry, very difficult, because then you would have to set up a lot of laboratories at universities, but then it's still kind of artificial. It's not the real production what is taking place. If I think in Nigeria with a new refinery you have, there's so much to learn in that. If you send out engineering students to that, that is the real life. That is what taking place, and to push that forward, there are lots of engineers necessary to make this happen, and you have enough people who can do that. So that is very important. I would for another 2 points, might be because I really covered with these three. I think you really have the biggest things. For sure, another would be maybe coming over to benchmark, coming over and visit different companies, visit different institutions, to find out what it is. And maybe just one for really what I've seen is really have in focus the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years, where these people should be. It's not just educate them and they should immediately, for sure, they should work immediately within the industry. It should be possible for engineers coming out of university. But the skill set, and even for TVET, the skill set need to prepare them for a much longer time frame than just for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. That, and when I mentioned a 3-year course, like we started for mechatronics or industry mechanics or something like that, that really prepares them to have an overview over many machines, over production processes, and not just only one machine and just repair this one machine, taking care for this one machine. It's a bigger, and that is what I've seen very often, that it's difficult to understand. We invest a lot in these young people, but this will lead us to a stable industry development and to economic growth.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Nobert. It has been a beautiful morning with you. I do thank you so much. And we look forward to your collaboration with Africa, notably Nigeria. Thank you, sir. Goodbye.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. I would always be an advisor for you. Just get in touch. I can
Thank you,
assist
doctor.
here. Thank you very much.